Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, actually, gonna do all these boxing videos. Probably get on some hoops soon, but we'll do this boxing video right now. Unfortunately, we got to talk about a Negro League fighter, right? Again, Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, the chairman of the Negro Leagues when it comes to boxing. And, he's got a fight coming up this weekend on the 1st, right? And 1st of January, and he's going to fight Charles Martin. We talked about it about 2 or 3 videos ago. It's going to be a good fight. Both of these guys got 2 losses. I was saying in that video, though, I just don't think even the winner is going to have that much momentum unless maybe it's Charles Martin. It probably won't change much if it's Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. And this video here will probably tell you some of the reasons why. Now, the title is going to piss some people off from England, but bottom line is the truth. Louis Ortiz got England shook. England heavyweights shook, basically. And that's not recently. This is like for the last 5 years. Louis Real King Kong Ortiz got the English heavyweight shook. Now, everybody else all over the world, whatever, don't get happy. Because like America, we just ain't had no heavyweights that's awesome enough to even be talking about fighting Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz if the name wasn't Deontay Wilder. We had one that was awesome in Deontay Wilder, and we ignored him like he wasn't doing nothing phenomenal stuff. And like he ain't got one of the best backstories in boxing. At 19 starting and all of a sudden knocking people out. The only person that got a medal in heavyweight since Evander Holyfield or something. I don't know. Way back in the day. It's ridiculous, right? But we ignored that. But other than that, when it comes to England, they've shook. When it comes to Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, and we'll go through some of it. We're talking England's very best when you're talking about like Anthony Joshua. He's about to fight for his title, to get his title back from Alexander Usyk. But when it comes to Anthony Joshua, we know he don't want to fight Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Now you have certain scenarios. First, Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz was signed at Matchroom wanting and begging Anthony Joshua. He's called Anthony Joshua out of his name a million times, right? Begging to fight Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua's just not going to do it, period. Even when he was this mandatory, people were asking Deontay Wilder to fight Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, but he was Anthony Joshua's mandatory. There's anything to not have Joshua fight him. Now some are going to come and say, well, remember Joshua offered him $7 million to fight, right? Because people, and they leave it at that and just won't, because they know that that's cool to say. But the bottom line is, if people knows how that went down, Joshua was trying to fight. I think Dillian White, and somebody before Dillian White. He was trying to fight, and Dillian White priced himself out. Didn't want to take the $7 million, and then somebody else, right? And then what happened was Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, before Anthony Joshua was going to fight, had offered his service for at least half, maybe 3.5 or 3 million or something like that, and they ignored him. Right? So Joshua tried to fight Dillian White, and who was he trying to fight? I forget what it was, and they couldn't fight. Right? And then that's when he ended up, then they said, well, we'll take you. No, Jarrell Miller. That's who it was. Jarrell Miller got doped. Bad. Had everything in the system, so that fight fell through. Then Dillian White didn't want to take it. Right? But before Jarrell Miller, Louis Ortiz was like, you coming to the States to fight me. You fight me for about $3 million. Right? And Joshua and them didn't do that. And so when they came back to him trying to fight all these other guys, and then they come back to Louis Ortiz, that's when he said, I want $10 million, right? And then they didn't want to give it to him, and then he didn't take the fight. So some used that as like, well, see, you didn't want to fight Joshua, right? No. It was like, yo, pay me now, because you was gonna get me for 3. Now you didn't want to pay me, and then you tried to fight Jarrell Miller, tried to fight Dillian White, and everybody else. And that didn't happen. Now you're coming back to me and I'm supposed to take a little bit? No, give me 10. And that's why that didn't happen. So, but anyway, bottom line is this is an awesome heavyweight that Anthony Joshua could have fought by now. And he still ain't talking about him, right? So that's how that works. So, no, not Joshua. Now, Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is the baddest heavyweight we got right now, right? Yeah, Tyson Fury has been on record saying he ain't fighting no damn Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz because he's high risk, low reward. Right? We'll get back to some more stuff. Right? But that's bottom line. Tyson Fury has made that clear that this guy is too dangerous. That's one of your best, those two of your best English fighters right now, isn't it? What about Dillian White? We talked about it in the last video. We'll try to just make it quick, right? But Dillian White was mandated to fight the man at least once or twice from the WBC and just said, hell no. Then he was told, hey, from Deontay Wilder, listen, dude, you keep calling me out. I'm trying to fight Joshua. You can fight Luis Ortiz. You'll get me. You got my promise if you fight Ortiz and beat him. You get me immediately, right? Didn't want to do that. Matter of fact, then Deontay Wilder was like, trying to get Anthony Joshua, and he said to Eddie Hearn and them, listen, I'll fight Dillian White if you make sure that I can get Joshua afterwards. They didn't do that either. So, Dillian White don't really want to fight Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, period. Right? I'm just mentioning everything so you can see he could have fought Ortiz. He's been mandated several times to do so, and Ortiz also offered to come to England to fight him again without the mandate. When Dillian White wanted to come to America to have a fight, Ortiz offered his services, even though he had a fight, I think, with Kaufman or something. When he had a fight, he was going like, no, I'll fight you in America. Then Dillian White all of a sudden didn't want to come to America no more. He said, no, I want to fight in England. Then Ortiz said, well, I'll drop my fight with Kaufman and come to England. And Dillian White still didn't. So we about four or five times. So, no. Right? That's another bad English dude. What about Joe Joyce? The Juggernaut. Juggernaut don't seem like he's scared of nobody except for Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Now, I don't think he's scared, though. I just think people around him know better. And I'll give you an example. Joe Joyce said about a year and a half ago, I'll take Ortiz. The hell with it, right? But at that point, he was trained by Abel Sanchez. When he said that, Abel Sanchez got to Ortiz immediately, because Ortiz answers when you say that, right? Boom, Ortiz answered. Just like when Dillian White said, hey, I'll fight Ortiz, he got answered. And then he said, no, I won't. So that's what happened to Joe Joyce. He had said Ortiz's name, which you don't. That's why I call Ortiz the Candyman too. Boom. What happened? Ortiz answered and said, okay, we can fight. Then Abel Sanchez told him, and I'm almost damn near quoting, but we're just kidding. He's not ready for you yet. That was just a year and a half ago, guys. That wasn't that long ago. You see what I'm saying? Ortiz was over 40 when that happened. So that's 4 bad dudes. And I'm going to say Daniel Dubois is up and coming, right? I don't have any information of Danny Dubois and Luis Ortiz. None. But I will say this. Frank Warren, Dubois' promoter, ain't going to call up Ortiz talking about anything anytime soon. He ain't. Now, to make this go even further, we have everyone in the heavyweight division understands that Tyson Fury has been mandated to fight Dillian White. Right? But because of the arbitration that Dillian White's going through, and plus they saying Dillian White wanted 10 million pounds, I guess that's about $12 million to fight, which I don't think is that much, but okay, whatever. They say it's too much. Bob Arum don't want to pay it, so now their fight's going to be off. Neither Dillian White or Tyson Fury right now is going to say Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Neither one of them. Tyson Fury talking about Robert Helenius and Andy Ruiz Jr., and Dillian White ain't gonna be talking about anybody but Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. And I'm telling you this: Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz versus Dillian White trumps all those other fights. Even Tyson Fury versus whoever, except maybe Usyk, right? That's Dillian White and Ortiz is a bigger fight than all that. Tyson Fury versus Andy Ruiz Jr., bigger. Tyson Fury versus Helenius, bigger. Anthony Johnson versus Usyk, bigger. Right? We all want to see Ortiz versus Dillian White. That'll be a huge fight worldwide. But they don't want to have it because you know what time it is. And here's the deal for all the people that's going to still be saying Ortiz is old. He's been saying that for 8 years. Right? When is a person from this planet, this damn species we got here, when do you guys want to see an old guy at least live out his dream and become the first Cuban heavyweight champion? We've had some awesome Cuban heavyweight champions, but none of them really never did it. Gonzalez back in the day, my man, I keep forgetting his damn name, but it's bothering me too because I liked him. He was the shorter guy, but bad dude, got beat by Tony Thompson. I keep forgetting his name, bad. We had some decent heavyweight Cubans, and why don't we want this old man to get a shot, from somebody else other than Deontay Wilder? And we ain't gonna talk about Deontay Wilder because that was awesome to do it as a voluntary twice. right? And no other heavyweight has done it at all. But you seem when you say something positive about Deontay Wilder, people are irked because they know how awesome he is. But let's just say, damn, it's an old guy. One of these people give him a damn shot. The only one gonna do something like that. This is the only one. This is the only heavyweight that I think that's in that top 5 or 6 that wants to fight Louis the Real King Ortiz when it comes down to after finishing his business would be Alexander Usyk. That would be the only one that I think, because Alexander Usyk ain't having it, right? If he ain't gonna have no other people in his division being something. He's got to be the only something. You saw that at cruiserweight. Joshua, I'm gonna have to fight you twice. I'm gonna do that. Then who does he want next? Tyson Fury. If he were to beat Tyson Fury, and we talking about enough people talking about Louis King Kong Ortiz, he'll go get him. That's the kind of that cloth he is. Let's see if anybody else does. But I've been saying this for years. Ain't nobody gonna be talking about Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Everybody gonna be talking about how old he is and just still won't fight him. But I think it's about time, man. He's 40-something high. Let's give him a shot before he goes out. What you think? Doma Sports Talk. Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.